Alright, people, alright. Inna alhamdulillah wa kafah. والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فسلام الله على القوم أهلا وسهلا بكم ومرحبا morning lights bienvenidos a todos people. Alright, another episode of Mindtrap is going down, people. Let me bring up a picture of our esteemed guest tonight. Allahu Akbar. Right there, people. Damas y caballeros. Let me present to you Allah. The man, the myth, people. Waseem Iqbal, aka the Wazio. That's what it is, people. The Wazio. Let me just bring him right in. Assalamu alaikum, Wazio. Alright.
Wa alaikum assalam. My introduction ain't as long as your one, that one you just did.
People, this is the legend we've taken out today. We've had to force this show by public demand. Janta ki demand, people. Janta ki demand. So, Wazio, shukran, man, for taking your time out. Those of you that ain't so familiar, I'm sure all of you are familiar with Wazio's work, but those of you that ain't,
How much?
right?
Some of our finest work.
Some of his finest. This is Birmingham's finest, people, right here. You can see, and you can definitely very clearly articulating the Bromy accent. It's the Wazio.
Hate, doesn't it? It gets a lot of hate, the Birmingham accent.
It does, actually. I don't know why, huh? So, Wazio is involved greatly in humanitarian work worldwide, going after some of the most, poverty-stricken and sometimes just ordeal-stricken kind of places. He's seen some tragic things. He's helped people in amazing ways. In addition to that, he's lived a life as a rapper. We'll bring that. Little do you know, see, he's had that aspect, and in addition to all of that, he's got this whole social media thing going on. So that is the man compressed as the Wazio, people. I have to add the definite article. So Wazio, man, what is going down, man? What is happening?
I was meant to go football today and everything's just been cancelled. And if people don't already know, when Muft Abu Layth gives you a time, expect him 2 hours later than that.
Exactly. That's the. So you have to prepare people. You have to, you know what it is? You have to prepare them.
Talking about football, though, Mufti,
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken about a lot of things. We've never ever spoken about sport. Do you do any sports or what?
I don't, I don't know Jack. I don't know Jack. I was about to say jack shit about sports.
Or is it just right now you're not doing it?
Sports. That's.
Imagine you I don't know, like football or cricket or what?
I genuinely just doing a quick. If there's any sound issues, by the way, people, let us know. But I'm assuming there's none. Sports. I've never been into sports, honestly. Not even as a. I mean, as a kid, we played football at school. Played a bit of cricket, things like that. But that wasn't really. It was just because people were doing it. I was just doing it. It wasn't. I was never really keen. Surprisingly, at the end of my junior school, that time it was. What was that? It was the World Cup in which. What's his name? Maradona. He wins. What? It must ages ago. So it must be in the
1920 something.
I think World War One had just come to an end or something.
I think it's the 80s.
Yeah, it's definitely the 80s. Right? So it's. I think it must have been, I don't know, 89, or I don't know if that is a year or something. But
it would have had to have been.
Is it an even year?
Or 82?
Nah. It wouldn't have been them. It would have been. I would have thought 90. Is it not 1990?
It was 90 as well. So every 4 years. That's why I'm
Yes.
saying it would have been 82, 86, or 90.
Yeah, I think 90 because I was in the last year of primary school of the junior school thing, and I remember for some reason I got into football, and it was just because I'd moved to a new
World Cup
school.
FIFA.
Seriously, and these guys were mad about it, and they were like, "Oh my god, you know this." So I was like, "Really?" Oh, and I got so much into it. So that's the only time ever. I think they played somebody like West Germany or something, and I think that was the final.
1990, they played West Germany.
Was it West Germany or something?
But it's still West Germany, 1990.
Wasn't it? Because I think the Berlin Wall broke after that. In it, I think because
I don't know.
it wasn't. They had West and East Germany, and I think when the Berlin Wall broke, I'm pretty sure it broke after that. I think maybe early 90s, like 92 or something, they broke that. So yeah, that's
For the
my.
youngsters like me, all of that stuff just sounds like
It
history, like
it
ancient
is.
history, man.
I mean, I might as well. I might as well just tell you the year before that when I was in. I traveled to Babylon. In the kingdoms of Babylon, I was just there along with Alexander the Great and.
Aravana.
But that's it. Since then, I never really watched any sports, and that's really weird, though. I do accept that that's like a weird thing I think about me, man. One of my many weird things is that I just and you know what?
I was just trying to picture you playing a sport, man. Like
And
what,
I'm
badminton,
so. Oh yeah, I suppose badminton. You know, badminton we played in secondary school, and I did enjoy it, but we never just found the kind of atmosphere to carry on outside of school. But I did enjoy that badminton. But you know what? At football, I'm absolutely handicapped, man. I'm an absolute spaz on the.
It's something I gotta see one day. No,
I'll be like kicking the ball over there and.
We'll see. I'm proper into the MMA now. You know, the UFC.
Oh right, okay. As in you're playing that, or you're just watching it?
Let's watch it, man.
Just watching it, okay. Like that. I did a bit of sports, like martial arts, but I don't mean by when I was saying sports, I don't mean those things. So I mean, I did do stuff like I did boxing for a while. Teenager, I did. Obviously, at that time, all Pakis did karate. Did karate for a while. And you do the then later on, much later in the I think about 2006 2000 for a few I did some eskrima with knife stick sword kind of stuff. That was really interesting. That was like the
what was it called?
Eskrima. So
this back in those days, yeah, like West
no,
Germany
this
days.
this is just like from. I mean, when I say just like it was like probably 2007, 2008, 2009, those years. So eskrima, but they so it's just like knife fighting and kind of like stick, but they sword as well, but they just use the stick and two sticks, and so that was actually quite fun. I did enjoy that, and yeah, a bit of Muay Thai, but these things I didn't consider like Thai boxing. But
doing it, Mufti, man. Don't mess with Mufti, bro.
What? But these things I didn't consider. I never enjoyed watching these things. I never enjoyed like even now when boxing comes on, and even on the groups, everybody's like mad about it. Oh, gotta watch this. And I might watch highlights, but I'm not. I don't find it that fascinating.
Something that people love and always have loved, watching two men just beat the crap out of each other, man.
Yeah, there's something
back in, like it's like similar now. The UFC is just the nowadays version of like they used to have the gladiators.
In oh yeah, when I was a kid,
stuff like that. Yeah, when you were the kid, yeah.
In my parents' day and age, it's like so the Roman arenas. Yeah, it's true. There's something I think just deeply primal about that. People, I think they want to see blood and gore. They want to see it, and but they want to see it from a safe distance.
Yeah, somebody else's blood.
Yeah, of course. I think they want to see it, but just sit back and then just close it and go back to a nice, comfortable.
That's me.
But You know, this thing about sports though is what's very interesting is that because I'm not into any of the sports, it kills a huge aspect of conversation.
Yeah. Sports is a big one, isn't it?
It's a big one, man. Like I realized, like, you know, when you come across people and the thing that you kind of end up chatting about, and I mean like non-Muslims. I'm not speaking about Muslims specifically, so I don't mean as a mufti, as just a person. Like I'm at the gym, let's say, and just chat to someone. It's either usually sports, it's music sometimes, and in both of these aspects, I'm severely handicapped, man. And then sometimes it might be TV or movies and series. In these things, I'm very like I binge watch so many TV series and stuff. So, but otherwise, it kills off so much of a convo, and I do think sometimes,
Yeah.
damn.
It's like people bond over that. Sports, music, and food. Those three things.
Yeah, and you see, that's another one. I'm not foodie at all, man. You
Yeah,
know that
neither am I. I'm one of those people that eats just to
seriously,
survive. Yeah.
Wazio, no way, man. But
No,
I see you all the time at different places to eat, and
you know what it is? I'm one of those people that gets invited to a lot of places to, I don't know, man. People are just kind in it.
yeah,
Probably want me to
but
advertise
I
it on
see you,
social
but I
media.
see you
What's the
taking.
point? People want me to advertise this stuff on the social media and
But
stuff like that. Yeah, so
you're doing your own cooking show.
I've recently just done my own cooking show. It's been amazing, man. I loved it, and you know what? It's
But
compared to the stuff that I
but
used to do.
isn't that like you have to be into food to?
No, the one that I do is they've got this chef he's come from flipping Mumbai. He's like
Okay,
this proper authentic street food chef, yeah, and he does
okay.
all the cooking, and I do all the tasting. Man, it's his job to sort of cook for me. But when you're cooking, you can't really talk as well, can you? So he does the cooking, I do the talking, and I do the eating. So it's perfect for me.
Because I've seen some snippets of it on Instagram on the Insta story,
Yeah,
and I've always associated, you know, people who have a passion for cooking, they are also very foodie.
yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
get that because they, you know, that hence the passion kind of drives the. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate food. I appreciate well cooked food, but I'm not mad about food at all. Like the way a lot of the lads will be or guys will be like, oh my god, you know this. Oh my god, we gotta. To me, it'll be like, oh okay, but
Yeah. I'm like that as well. I'm very simple when it comes to food. Give me fish finger sandwich, some chips. I'm nice. I could live on that every single day. Not a problem.
yeah, I'm bloody hell. I think we're gonna figure out someday we're just robots.
And
uh, damn. So man, Wazio, talk to us, man, about talk to us about this. What I saw this clip recently. I should have actually, if it was the other Monday nights, I would have brought it up. The your rapping, your rapping video. What's
okay.
that about, man? What was going down back then?
Those are the ones I'm trying to hide. Now, that is actually a very, very long time ago. We're talking, it surprises me now when I think back how long it goes. We're talking about 15 years or something. But it was more me and a group of friends were like, I've been kicked out of college. I didn't go to university or anything like that. So from a very young age, we were about
You you
18.
you're above these unis, man. They can't handle your capacity.
My teacher said there wasn't a thing he could teach me. You know what I'm saying? So I took it as a compliment. But we, at the age of 18, obviously we never had university or anything like that to go to. Me and a whole bunch of friends we started working in the nightclubs. So it wasn't so much the rapping, it was more the whole music scene. Like I've got friends now that are certified rappers, like that's what they do. They're actually really, really well known, you know what I mean?
Okay,
So
like
it sort of stemmed
producing
from
their own records and things like that.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly. So when it was basically all stemmed from the nightclub scene. Like when you're there, you're in
ah,
charge of the microphone, the music. We used to get on the microphones ourselves. We used to rock the party. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
ah,
long time ago, Mufti, man. Long time.
yeah. Well, a lifetime ago. You see,
lifetime
if you
ago.
see those clips of Wazio, it's clean shaven, coming in. There's the mic. He's got
Lines
the
in my
the
head.
lines in the head. Doing it,
Fantastic.
man, doing it. So
That's
okay,
the homeless look,
yeah.
especially with lockdown. Yeah, my beard's out of control, but mashallah,
Seriously,
you're always on point, man.
yeah. It's
Well,
the it's all a
alright.
facade, man. It's all a facade. It's the nature of this dunya. It's just all. It's just lahu la'ib, and it's just a facade, deception. So, acha, so Wazio, so what pulled you out of that whole? You never actually went into that. Was there like a?
I've done a lot of interviews or
Have you?
podcasts or just chats and stuff with people,
Okay.
and we always talk about the past and whatnot, but I've never actually ever online anyway, even on my own social media accounts, ever told my story about when I actually did change. So you know what, yeah, let's do that now.
Go for
um
it, man. This is it. Live and exclusive, people.
like, where do we start? Okay,
So
like I
they,
said,
so there you
um
were, late teens, I take it,
kicked out of college.
kicked out of college, chilling in the clubs, doing the
Yeah.
DJing.
Yeah, well, we were more doing the beating people up and that, the security,
Oh, the
the
security.
putting on the
Okay.
promotion nights and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that kind of stuff.
So,
Okay.
well, that's how we started anyway. Um, but I did that for about 10 years, man. When you're in that scene, it's like so easy to get lost in it. But it's like the balance between in one way, it's the most fun that I've ever had.
Of course, it's
In a,
going to be fun for God's sake. There's just women
in a
dancing around and guys dancing around, and they're just probably getting high and music and.
but then
What's not going to be fun about that?
But then
Huh?
there's this other
Toba, toba, toba. I was just luring him in. Kafir, kafir. I wanted him to say yes. We've got it on
got him,
record.
got him.
Got him.
But then there's the flip side of it, and you actually see, like, I had lost faith in just humanity, man. Like some of the stuff that you see in that scene and the state that you see people in, and just some of the situations that we've got in, and like people have lost their lives, doing stuff like that. Like it was actually there was a whole bunch of factors that made me want to get out of it, but one of the stories, it actually, a lot of people might have heard this story because I did a post about it. It went pretty viral, and these pages started posting it up about it. But one of the days where I decided that I need to get out of this is, we had an incident at the club, and there was a sort of stampede, 3,000 people trying to leave a club, and people falling down the stairs and getting trampled on. And it was our job to obviously go in and help. And I remember going in and pulling out this young girl who was 19 years old at the time, and bringing her outside, putting her down to the paramedics, going back inside, pulling out more people. And when I'd come back, I'd found out that she'd actually passed away in from the
Stampede.
stampede. And then obviously, like, from looking at her ID, her name, figured out that she's a Muslim girl as well. So she was like an African Muslim girl, 19 years old. Do you know what I mean? And I remember there thinking, like, somebody's like, you know, I don't know, but I'm guessing that her parents probably didn't know where she was, because this was one of those. You get different club nights, you get your normal club nights, but then you get some of these parties that they're really dark, and the type of people that come to them are sort of kind of
Mm,
dangerous. It's like a whole different scene. You get these
yeah,
certain urban nights, and I was just thinking, man, what a way to go! And me being there every day, getting into all these fights, risking my life, like people with knives who've been shot at the club, all sorts. And I thought, I don't want to die in a club, man. It's just something about, I just didn't want to die in a nightclub, and it really, really affected me, man. And it's gonna affect you. You're pulling out a dead body out of a nightclub, but you sort of started this thought process where I thought to myself, you know what, I need to get out of here, man. And it's so crazy. It sounds mad. Like imagine going to the nightclub and you're working there with all of this, like you said, everything that you can think of. But on the way there, I started listening to Islamic lectures, on YouTube and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
there's some people are really good on YouTube, and like,
Yeah.
Mufti Menk and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It really appeals to you on YouTube, man. It's very it's what you want to hear.
Yeah. It's
When you're in that,
like a boost, an iman
yes,
booster kind of
it's what
thing. Yeah.
it's what you want to hear. So we used to listen to all of them talks on YouTube, with the
In the
music at the
background.
back, like proper
Yeah,
powerful.
the nasheeds going on.
Yeah, and imagine we used to listen to that and then go on a full out clubbing night, and then on the way back listen to it again. So
But
there was
wouldn't that just mess your mind up? Because like now you're kind of like you're also kind of drowning in guilt, maybe, or because you're hearing all this and then going back and
no, it was almost like you're drowning, but this is the last thing you're holding on to. You're
I
like, you know what?
see.
I'm not doing anything else. Literally, I'm not doing anything else. I might as well. So you know what it is? It's stuff like that that actually hits your heart, man. Some of these talks, with the effects and the music, like I said, in the background and stuff like that, it really does make you think. And
Yeah.
certain people, the way they put it across as well, is easy to understand. Anyway, what I'm saying is, we used to be
Yeah.
doing maddest things, but we still had this sort of this. If it was up to us, we'd just change everything, live a simple life, and not be doing all of the stuff that we're doing. You're working in a club, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes with that as well. Just going there off the roads and
Don't you think as well that there's a desensitization that takes place when you're exposed to something for a prolonged because there's a glamour, like even if some of these clubs are gritty, but it's not about the club, it's about the nightlife has a glamour to it, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
when you're exposed so much to it, there will naturally be a desensitization to all of the, all of, because if you're seeing it every day, you're seeing, let's say, people, the thing, the music, everything, it almost kind of drowns itself out, and you're
yeah.
kind of, yeah. Mm.
It takes over, and you know what? Like, look, from behind the scenes, like we actually used to have these chats. What you're selling is, well, you're not selling it, but what sells is sex. You know what I mean? So even the nights that we're putting on,
Sex always sells.
the
It's the
music,
number one
advertising,
selling factor.
marketing, everything. That's what it used to be. So it's
Yeah.
just this mad, crazy atmosphere. 10 years, and in that time, countless people. I've seen people lose their lives. Even people, my own friends that used to work there, getting into fights, injuries. Some of them are missing their lips. Some of them are missing teeth. Some of them don't have the same eyesight that they used to, and we were just getting into loads of trouble because getting into all the fights, you end up with loads of cases on you as well, assault and all of this and that. And it was literally like at one point, it was like once a week, the police are turning up at the door, and it
Did
was
you
just
have to
too.
did you have to go in? Were you
I'd have to go.
did no? Did
I
you
went.
spend some time in
And then,
in the big house at Her
I've,
Majesty's expense, a vacation?
I've never been on that holiday.
Not on that holiday, okay.
They banged me up in cells though, man. That was
Yeah.
my thing. They put me in the cell for 2 days, one day,
Mm.
2 days, because growing up, I was just getting into a lot of fights at that time as well. And it's not me, like you know me. I'm not a
Yeah.
very aggressive person or anything,
You're
but
not actually.
it,
People
it,
Wazio is very chilled, I suppose. Somebody said, is that Wazio from Westmans? I believe that's correct, isn't it? From Westmans. There you
yeah.
go, people. Going down.
It was that time is gang culture, man. And when you're with that many people around, everywhere I was going, there's 50 people around me, and you just get into some crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah, that life there, it got to the point where, okay, this is the thing now. And it's the reason why I don't really speak about it that much. But me and the people close to me will know this is within about a 3-4 month period, I lost two of the closest people to me. Like my best friend got murdered. He got stabbed in the brain just behind my house. And we were like we were early 20s. We were in our early 20s at that time. And a few months later, somebody that was like my older brother. He was actually my cousin. But we were like very, very close, and he passed from a drug overdose. So in the space of 3-4 months, I'd lost like two of the closest people to me. Like when something bad happens to you, or you lose somebody, and loads of people, it makes them come closer to their religion. They start going mosque all of a sudden. They start wearing a topi, growing their beard, stuff like that. That never happened to me, man. Like with me, the opposite happened. Like it made me go fully off the rails because
As in,
I don't
just
know.
immerse yourself in drugs and that
Like
kind of stuff. Just forget everything. These don't want to feel anything.
like going out on a Monday, coming home on a Thursday. Do you know what I mean? Just here, there, everywhere, wanting to do everything apart from face reality, and doing everything just to not face reality. Because when you're doing stuff like that and there's police at your door for other reasons as well, you're working in a nightclub. I'm raised by my grandma. I've never lived with my parents, and my grandma's old school, man. You can imagine, like, deep down, when you're doing stuff like that, you're still her grandson, but she's not proud of you.
Yeah.
And for me, all those years, it was just knowing what I was doing. My family's not proud. Like, I could never say that this one person that I've got in my life, who's my grandma, my mom, my everything, is proud of me. I couldn't say that. That used to really mess with me. Like, that was the one thing that used to mess with me the most. But no qualifications, no degrees, nothing. We were just living that life, like on the roads in the daytime, music, and then in the nighttime, same thing, in the clubs, and then losing two of the closest people to me. It put me on this journey where I did get really caught up in a lot of things, and I started getting into a lot of trouble. But I think I needed to go through all of that, and I saw it as everything that we were trying to chase, where they lost their lives. I felt like I needed to complete that because you've given your lives for it. Now I need to go and complete that. So whether it's money, fame, or power, or whatever it is, I need to go and get all of these things. And I reached the stage where I did it. In that scene that I was in, I was from working to being a manager to employing all of my friends. Like at one point, I've come back and I'm managing like 15 of my friends. And like, you're taking 15 guys out the hood who don't have a job, and then you're giving them a job and you're all working together. Like we're getting to that stage, and money's coming in different ways, and you're living some crazy lifestyle. You're partying here, partying there, no worries in the world. Catch a flight whenever you want, here, there, all around the world. And it literally came down to this one day, this one moment where I remember standing on a balcony, and I'm in this apartment, and I look back, and everything that a man can wish for is there. And I remember I was
And
smoking, and the way it was
and
like
there's
proper filming
quite
it.
a bit a man can wish
I
for.
took, and it was all there in abundance. And it's like I took this burn and I blew out the smoke, and it was one of those moments, and I said, "This is the life." Out loud, I said
Allah.
those words, "This is the life." But as soon as I said those words, I felt my heartbreak. I felt it. I felt inside me the most sadness, the most distraught that I've ever felt, because
Why?
this one thought came in my mind, and
Okay.
this one thought was that none of this is worth it. And it's so cliche, but looking at all of these things, I thought to myself, is this it? Because all of those things, I swear, you just want more. Like, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. And it was the thought that was killing. It was killing me inside, was that if I could go back and say to those two that this isn't worth it, man. Like, everything that you literally gave your lives, like you lost your lives trying to chase this thing. And now that I'm there and I see what it actually is, and that it's not worth it, it's like every single part of me just wanted to go back and say, boys, let's just stop now. Let's get out while we can. Because that thought used to kill me. The thought used to kill me that you gave your lives chasing this. And I just wish I could go back and tell you that let's not do it. And then personally, that's the reason why I go so hard in the humanitarian work, because I do it for the three of us. You know what I mean? These two are gone, and there ain't a thing that anybody can do for them. And I feel like it's my responsibility, because there's nobody else that's gonna do it for them. Like, people forget, yeah. You know, people forget, yeah. It doesn't matter. People call you your friend. They'll say ride or die. Like, they'll do for you. They'll take a bullet for you. People will tell you all of this stuff, man. I've got so many friends that have lost their lives. So many. It's ridiculous. And people forget them, man. The same people that, you know, like, people easily forget people. And I made it my business. You know what? These two, I can't forget. Even if everybody else forgets them, I can't forget. So, you know, everybody has their personal intention in it. So when I go out to all of these different places, it's like, this is for us. Like this is, it's for the three of us. So it's like, yeah, man, I've got that
No, I
on my.
mean, may Allah make things easy, man, and may you accept. You know, you've kind of like jumped deep end straight into the humanitarian thing. Yeah, you've been obviously for many years now, but right in it at its core. You know, war-torn areas, Syria, Iraq, Africa, different places. I mean, in some way, you see, having that being kind of past, or being a part of it, so up and so up close to all of these things happening, losing people, the drug life, these kind of things, then coming here now, even though you are here on a good positive project to kind of, let's say, to provide aid, to help people, but you're still encountering a hell of a lot of grief. Like, I mean, it's not grief at you, but you are being kind of, you're in the amidst a realm of just destruction and grief. I mean, doesn't that also kind of like just eat a person up?
It does. Anybody that tells you it doesn't is lying. Because there's people that do what I do, yeah, and I swear some of them just feel like they need to be this proper macho man, yeah, and they'll say that it doesn't affect them. If it doesn't affect them, number one, they're not doing it properly, and by that I mean they're not in the front line, like they ain't been to the front line like where we've been,
Yeah.
or they're just lying, because that will affect you. How can it not affect you?
I mean, I'm being honest. I've had sometimes, like, you've been obviously advertising a lot of your thing, telling people that, look, when you're trying to get people involved in the projects and some of the other charities, and I've seen things in the past where people have said, look, why don't you come along? Why don't we do something? And if I'm just being honest, I haven't got what it takes to go there, man, because if you put me, I've seen some of these videos, I've seen like your videos, I've seen other people, little children, this, that. I couldn't do it, man. I just can't do it. Like, because if I was there, it's going to be too wrecking.
It's like, I know I'm one of those people, like, I can't help but, and I don't know if this is a strength or a weakness, because at times it's both, but when you see someone in a situation, it's like it becomes my problem, man. Like, when I'm out in these places, this is why I limit myself to certain countries. So there's like 7 or 8 countries that I've decided to concentrate on, because you build relationships with people, and you know what, you leave pieces of your heart in all these.
Because I've seen you sometimes, you're conversing. I've seen you, the relationship you'll have. There'll be little children. They'll come. They'll smile for you. And you're giving them sometimes whatever it is, whether it's sometimes a gift. You've brought them back something special, and man, I honestly, no, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying in any way that this isn't something. I'm just being honest in the fact that I think really everybody ought to be doing it, but I don't think I could do it, man. Like, it's if you're gonna go there and you're gonna see these things, it's gotta kind of just shatter a
Mm.
person completely, because especially if there you know, it's easy seeing it on a screen. Even on a screen it's not easy, but it's still, you know, you just walk away, close the phone. But if you're there knowing, okay, I'm gonna go back now to just chilling, and you know, here you've got these little boys, little girls, you know, they haven't got anything to keep warm, they haven't got this, they haven't got that. This kind of stuff is, it's hard stuff, man. Yeah.
It's hard, but I can never explain how hard it actually is. Like you can just imagine how hard it must be, but the reality of it, and my whole thing is very positive. So the videos that I do, the way that I talk, the way that I present myself, and the things that I do, I always try to take the positive look on things. Firstly, because I don't want people to just give to people, like you have to make an example of someone, or look how poor this person, look how bad this is, da, 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 and then
Yeah.
you have to use that to sort of get
Yeah,
money
and
off people.
that's,
That's
yeah,
not my
and
thing.
that's another thing that I don't like, is how some of the a lot of the charities, what they do is they guilt trip people as well. So you're going to see somebody, well, you know, starving to death, and they're going to be like, well, you know, why aren't you paying for his food? And and they're trying to make people just feel, not out of compassion, although compassion is there, but out of just guilt, that, you know, and
Yeah.
bombard them with like sorrow. And I think what that does is it also, one, it's so like kind of offensive. Well, not offensive in meaning in a rude way, but it's like an assault of emotions. And two, it desensitizes a lot of people as well. And three, I don't feel that this is the right way to do it, that this whole making people just feel like sad, guilty about themselves. But I have seen a lot of your clips. You are, in your clips, you're usually kind of like cracking jokes with some of them. You're kind of getting them to do okay, can you, you know, you've learned how to say this now, haven't you? And you're kind of laughing along with them. And so there is that, very, the positive vibe is there, man.
It's a fine line though, you know, like how I'm saying that I don't want to show certain things, and you're saying you don't like when people show certain things. There's also times where we really have to show. I'll give you an example. Just it's just the first thing that come into my head. We set up this medical camp here for the Rohingya,
Okay.
and we can talk about that if you want, but it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. When we were there first, and people are running out of Myanmar, and we had like one of my mates had paid like fishermen to take their boats and like get people into the country and stuff. Like literally had to lie down on the boats because the snipers from that side are trying to shoot you, and you can only go overnight. And people are coming to us like all shot up and stuff and running for. Anyway, these group of girls, man, they were 13 years old. Yeah. And this is gonna sound like one of them pitches that you don't like, but this is the honest truth. Like
Mhm.
the truth is the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes the reality is harsh, but 13-year-old girls coming to our medical camp here saying something's changed with my body and I don't know what it is. And you've got to explain to this 13-year-old girl that she's pregnant because they've been raped. But they don't understand. And you see, it's so simple. Like people like me, you think, oh, they go over there and they give people food. Or we're faced with like situations like this as well. Now you can imagine those girls later on, they're in this line and they want to get food, and somebody comes over to me, yeah, and he says to me, "Who these lot, man? They don't look poor." And I thought to myself, what what does a person have to do to look poor now? Like when we grew up, I remember watching these Oxfam adverts, or is it Oxfam or something like this?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there was these African kids. The ground's really dry, it's cracked. There's
Mhm.
like flies
The
and stuff, and
famine, yeah, yeah.
they're really
Ethiopia, back then in the
Ethiopia and
late
all of that sort
80s
of
and,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, early 90s.
malnutrition. Like you can really see the malnutrition. Now, people, if they're not seeing that covered in blood with no parents, bullets flying past, bombs falling, and just rubble in the background, they don't think that that person's poor. Now, I knew the background of those girls, but because they look like us, like they're Asian, they dress the same way our Asian women dress, you don't know what a person's history is or what they've been through or anything. And forget trying to help them. People were looking for excuses to not help them. Like, yo, they don't even look poor. What? Because they look like me and you. You know what I'm saying? But I knew the story behind it. Now, how can you make people help those children if you don't hit them with these stories as well?
Yeah.
You know
No,
what
you
I
know
mean? So
you
when
are you are right. I mean, yeah,
it's the fine line, like people
yeah.
taking advantage of it, and you know what I mean. I've told you some stories off camera as well of how people take advantage and stuff,
Yeah.
like of people's emotions. Do you know what I mean? In the charity scene, but we try and keep it real, man. And I think that's why I am able to have the trust from people, that I do have people sending me money from all over the world, like in the millions now, alhamdulillah, is just being real about it. Like, I'm there, this is the problem, this is what I can do about it, this is what I need from you guys. And we get to the point.
I'm
And
being honest with you. I've said
yeah,
this on my Monday nights when I've been asked that look about charities. I've said that look, as somebody who's involved in as a person who's from the Islamic kind of scene, even though as a Mufti, let's say, I personally, I as a person don't have the confidence in any particular charity per se, and I'm sure maybe so many of them are absolutely legit, but as a person, but I've said, but there are one or two people. I mean, I can't. I won't lie to you. I can't, as a person, vouch for the charity that you represent, but I could vouch for you because
yeah,
I've seen what you've done, and I would be, if I would be more than confident to put any kind of money I've got with you, more so than even with your charity. I mean, the charity you're working for. I mean, by your charity, the one you're working for, because I don't even know them, but I know that so often there's exploitation, there's scandals, there's all these kind of things. But I see the actual thing on the ground, like you actually going out of your way, doing this, doing that. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a once again, it's a difficult thing because Muslims, according to certain surveys, are the most charitable in this country, and Muslim charities get, you know, get a. I mean, they get a bit of a bad rap as well. They've been building their
they don't do
courtyard, their
themselves any
mansions.
favors, though. They don't do
Exactly.
themselves any favors.
Yeah.
I've got a lot to say on this subject, but you know what it is? I'm a young guy in this scene, and it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's just there's these old school ways of working.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the older generation that they run the charity scene, like the people in the senior positions and
Yeah.
whatnot, and their way of working, their way of thinking, and it's all changed. Even now, what people expect, what the public wants to see. But it's a really interesting subject, man, the charity one, but it's
Yeah.
very complex.
Somebody just said here that uh said, "Is it true Wazio lives in a big mansion?" Where did it go? Just moved. Somebody said that. Is it true he lives in a really big house? Yeah. So I think one of the admin
Wazio,
might have.
Wazio lives in a two-bedroom apartment in
Right.
Birmingham.
I I can personally vouch for Wazio, honestly, and there's very few people.
Hello, Wazio's a tramp, man.
I'm not saying I'm vouching he's a tramp.
He looks homeless on a good day.
But yeah, this is the. But doesn't that make you lose? You've told me some stories in the past from, it was either Iraq or it was Syria, about things like families and soldiers coming in and the way what they're doing to the family and tormenting them, and the kind of torture and rape and things like this, to the extent, I mean, these kind of things are so, to hear them is just surreal. Like, it's obviously our imagination can imagine anything, but that's all it seems to be. Let alone if you're obviously meeting these people and these people are telling you this stuff whilst they must be breaking down into tears whilst telling you. Doesn't that kind of shatter your view on humanity then?
You know, let me tell you, the best way that I can do this is if I tell you a little bit about the journey and then what somebody said to me and how it changed. So, like you said, we work all over the world. Now, some of the things that I was seeing is it's just it's the worst things ever. Like we were in Greece of all countries, and there were so many refugees trying to cross Europe, and
Yeah.
people are coming through Greece. And I went there to give people food. When I got there, I ended up burying children. And we went from organizing hot food to organizing burials, janaza. So we'd be on the coast, standing there all night. When I
Is
was there,
is this is this the time when the little boy had come?
his name was Aylan.
Alan, that's
Aylan,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe it was Bodrum in Turkey, the beach there where he got washed up. I went to that beach as a reaction to that. From there, I wanted to know, where were you trying to go from here? And what I found was they were trying to cross over to Greek islands. So I did it myself, went over to the Greek islands, and I found just hundreds of people, thousands of people, but not everybody makes it. That's the thing. So the same way, you've seen those videos. Have you seen like when the rafts are coming in and people are
Yeah.
pulling people in from? So I used to do that, and a lot of the time you're pulling in people from there, men, women, children, and a lot of the time it's dead bodies that are just floating onto the island, and then you have to do something about that. I remember this one particular night, man. Now that I think back, it's like I used to work 24/7. So I used to have my day job, which was giving out hot food, setting up accommodation for people, and all of this sort of stuff on the island. And at the night time, I do the beach patrol to pull in the bodies. And
So
it was the end,
when were you sleeping?
just in between,
In
like two
between.
hours here, 2 hours there, wherever I sort of could. But there, the adrenaline of there's people dying in front of you. You know what I mean? It's you're not sleeping, you're just passing out now and again from exhaustion. You know what I mean? And I remember it was this end of this one night, and two things I remember is booking out this whole of this hotel and letting people stay in it for free. And the bottom floor, we used it as a hot food kitchen. So we're cooking hot food and we're giving everybody hot meals that's coming onto the island. And I remember there was this one random white girl first, because the rest of us were, Asian, Arab, Muslims. And there was this random white girl that was cleaning tables, and she wasn't part of my team. And I remember going over to her and saying, like, who are you? What are you doing here? And she was like, look, I've seen what's happening on the news. I've come over myself. I just couldn't bear to see, and I wanted to help. I saw that you guys are doing this. I saw that you're busy. I didn't want to interrupt there, so I thought I'll clean the tables for you. That's just something I remember that stuck with me. Random, like
Wow.
she came all the way to do that. I rate her. But my point is, we're sat there, and it's the end of this night. And at that point, I remember sitting down, stretching my arms, and thinking, that was a tough day, man. And as I say that, this man comes running and he's like, help, help, help. I've made it, but my family hasn't. The boat went over. We had this little speedboat, and flipping heck, we're out at sea. And I just thought to myself at that point, like, I'm at sea on a speedboat somewhere between Greece and Turkey looking for these three little kids, man. His two sons and his daughter. And we never found them. So, like, this guy had nowhere to go, and he spent a few days with us because we were putting them up in the hotel. And I swear, he had their passports, and he just kept them like that next to his heart. And I seen the geezer sleeping as well. He used to sleep like that, man, with the passports on his heart of his three kids. 2 weeks later, we found them on a different island, man. Their bodies had got washed up there. But, stuff like that. And then having to bury those kids, moving over to the Syrians where I met people that were eating cats, that were eating dogs. I met people that were taking the mick out of other people, saying, I've actually heard these words like, wow, you still got cats in your village. We're eating the grass now. To that level, to like people eating out of the sewers. We used to go into homes and people used to put like covers on the walls at one point because the moss, it's called moss, right? That grows on the
Yeah,
walls.
yeah,
The kids were eating all of that stuff, and they had this stuff up to stop the kids doing things like that. And you thought, I think, how can it get any more mad than people eating cats and dogs? And then everything changed. And then when ISIS came and I was there, I was doing frontline support. There were so many dead bodies just lying around in the battle because the ISIS guys were there on the floor and the Iraqis were there and civilians as well. And there's just bodies everywhere. Like, this is an actual statistic. When I was working in Mosul, there was more dead bodies than there was people alive. So when we're walking around, there's dead bodies everywhere. And I remember looking down wells, they're full of bodies. There's pyramids made in houses where people have stacked bodies, the men at the bottom, then women, then children on top. Like, there's houses I'm going in to give them food and they're scrubbing blood off the floor like it's fresh. Somebody's just got going into one house and finding these two orphan kids on their own. The mother was there, she'd starved to death. And what they were eating was it's like hay. They give it to horses and stuff like that. And I had to take these two kids into care. And I remember as I'm taking them, there's a really bad smell in the house. So I start looking around and I walk into this one room and this dog runs out. The dog runs out with a bone in its mouth. I think, where's that from? And I go in and it's been eating this body. There's like half a body there. And the dogs are eating from it. And I'm thinking, flipping heck, on one side you got people eating the dogs and the cats. And here you got the dogs and the cats eating the people. Everyone's fighting. Nobody's burying each other because they
yeah.
don't that the other person deserves a flipping burial and that. There's civilians, soldiers. Also, I got late once going to a hospital. This all
Okay.
of this has got a point to it, by the way.
No,
I'm
no,
not just
no,
rambling.
no, no, no,
So
no.
I remember being late going to this hospital in Mosul, and luckily I was late. An hour before we got there, which is when we were supposed to be there, the hospital gets bombed. And when we go there, there's one room that's in use. And what they've put in there is they've put an incubator, the only one remaining incubator on one side of this room. And there's an oxygen machine on the other side of the room. And there's literally a line of mothers with their babies. And they get 5 minutes each. And like, I'm a father, you're a father, and there's going to be lots of people here who have got kids here. I'm that type of person. You like, you get those men that are like, even when it's a doctor, he's trying to check your kid and the kid cries and you're like trying to punch the doctor, like, yo, you're making my kid cry. The guy's just doing his job. I'm very protective like that. And even watching my son fall over or something like that, or watching another kid, yeah, hit my son, I'm ready to punch this kid out. I don't care whose kid you are. I'm protective like that. The point is putting myself into those shoes of those women. 5 minutes, your child is gasping for air and you get 5 minutes on this oxygen machine, man. I remember that day, 6 or 7 of those babies died while I was there. And it was just because they couldn't have oxygen, like oxygen, a lack of flipping oxygen, man. Went into this other room, 19 years old. There's a girl called Shahid. Her face is hanging off, like her jaws come off and her eyes have been burnt out. And she's screaming. And I'm like, I'm in tears. And I'm saying to somebody, tell me what she's saying. Because whatever she would have asked for, I was ready to give it to her. Like, I'd empty my pockets. If it was an operation, I'll pay for it. In that moment, you're watching this person whose face has melted off and they're just screaming in pain. But whatever she wants, let's make it happen. And when they translated it for me, she was saying, throw me out the window. Just throw me out now. But let me end this suffering. What she didn't know is in the same house where the team pulled her out from, her youngest brother, they found him sitting on a chair, like the whole body sitting on a chair like I am now, but the head was cut off and it was on another side of the room. And it's mad because I'm talking to their mom and she's showing me pictures of what they used to look like. And I come out of this hospital crying. And then I actually tried to go back in and they wouldn't let me go back in. I don't know if
What,
you remember,
what,
Mufti.
what? Was that like an explosion that had gone off there? What
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was rockets and stuff. So
ISIS or Intra?
ISIS had occupied the city at the time, and
Mm.
as the combination of the Kurdish from the sort of north, then the Iraqi army and the US and everybody from here, and then you've got Iranian influence from sort of down here, and then the rest of the world in the fighter jets bombing them. The thing about ISIS though, while we were there, I done frontline support, so I was actually in Mosul while they were running the place. Um, they saved me from getting kidnapped. So that's a different. I'll tell you that one. Um, when there's cloud cover or when there's
Yeah.
smoke in the air, the jets couldn't do anything to them, so they'd push forward. And
Okay.
when they'd push forward on the ground, they're just better at combat than all of these guys. I don't know how. This is the crazy thing, but these guys, like when you see them, they're like
This is when you say
they're
these
from
guys, the ISIS guys.
yeah, yeah. Firstly, they're from all over the world. There's a lot
Yeah.
of Pakistanis, you know. There's a lot of Pakistanis. There's a lot of Chechens and stuff like that. But then there's these random American-looking dudes, and they've got the tattoos and everything. Like they have to be American. And those guys are like the really big ones, and they really know what they're doing, man. What they used to do, they used to get one of those. Is it like drip? It's called a drip, right?
Yeah.
Like glucose drip.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of, yeah,
Get one of
intravenous.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Put one of them on, climb up the telephone pole, and just stay there for the whole day because then they don't need food or anything, and they're just sniper people, just staying right at the top of this thing with a glucose drip attached to them. They used to have women to torture women. And I don't know if this is like, I don't know, where did they get this from, Mufti? Is like a back in the day thing or whatever. Because women, they used to make them bite the woman's flesh off.
Bite.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So a woman would come, like to punish the woman, this ISIS woman would come and literally bite chunks of flesh out of her. Then they decided, oh, no, that's too much hard work. So they got these like metal claw things that they
Yeah.
were using. And they used to have this building where they used to throw people off if anybody was accused of being gay, whether there was evidence or not. The
Oh
punishment
damn,
was
man.
there was this, I swear, there was this building for the gays, and they just throw them off the building, like a really tall building. And these guys were mad, man. Like even in the hospitals, man, these ISIS, their moms. Have you ever heard about an ISIS mom? Like imagine what you gotta be to be an ISIS dude, but then imagine one of their moms. They're in the hospital swearing at them. Like the injured ISIS, like yeah, the women are swearing at them, saying to them, "Oh, look at you, you coward! You're gonna die in the hospital. Go die in the battlefield. You're not my son."
As in
They're
the
saying
mum is pro or she's against the son. She's pro.
pro. So I used to know families where half of them are pro and half of them are anti. And the ones that are pro, to be honest with you, it's not an ideology thing.
Yeah.
It's they want money. Like they're broke. Like these guys took in all the gangsters. They went and all the prisons got opened for them. So they took all of those guys in. Then they took in all the local gangsters and all the local goons. And then they sort of anybody that wanted to come and make money, they take them on as well. But then some people, they'll just go and give them weapons. Because they'll say things like this: "Look, your women are gonna get raped. You're gonna get tortured. We've got the same people trying to bomb us. Take these weapons and defend yourself." But now to the rest of the world, you've become ISIS as well, where really you're just trying to defend yourself, and these guys are giving you weapons and stuff. So it's all very complicated like that. My point is that seeing stuff like that, from dead bodies to
See, because
kids and
this kind of stuff, this is what I'm saying when I was saying earlier on that I feel me as a person, I feel that for me, there would be no coming back from that. Like, I feel that there would be, like, I would have looked into such an abyss that that darkness, I don't think I could ever remove it after that.
well, this is what I'm coming to. It's when I went and like here local schools and groups, like people, they know what I do. They
Yeah.
sent me these messages on cards, these colorful cards. And there was like all these beautiful messages on there, like have sabr, we pray for you, Allah is with you, Allah tests those that He loves, we're thinking about you, we make dua for you. So I went and I thought I'll deliver this message to people, it'll be cute, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. These
Finished the food
messages
distribution.
are to those people over there, the children and all of them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I started giving them these messages in Arabic. and they're laughing. Like while I'm telling them, they're all just laughing. I'm thinking, why are they laughing? It can't be the Birmingham accent this time, innit? So I've got somebody to translate, and one of the elders, she stood up, and the speech that she gave basically changed my life, made me understand charity. And this whole thing that you're talking about, Mufti, about you wouldn't be able to go back. This is the reason why I can go back. What she said to me next, which is along the lines of, she gave me loads of examples. She says, look, my grandkids were killed with, they put rubber tires around them and set the rubber tires alight. And they were given a choice. They had to watch their parents die. They were given a choice. Do you want to see your mom die first or your dad? And this happens vice versa as well. Like kids get lined up and parents are given the choice. Which one of these kids you love the most will kill them last? Stuff like this happens. So she was giving me examples of what she had been through. And, sort of things like, we come from a place where she's saying stuff like, we sleep with our hijabs on because we don't know whether we're going to be alive in the morning. And if they find me, then I want them to find me with my hijab on. It says at night we count the bombs and in the morning we count the bodies. Quotes like this, they always stuck with me. But she says, look, my son, we make dua for you. Now, this part, Mufti, I don't know if she's just trying to be a hero or what, but I'm just going to tell you what she said to me. She goes, we make dua for you and we feel sorry for you because, one thing that we have here is we have our iman. We see every single day, like her husband couldn't leave the bed, like his skin had come attached to the bed. When your skin goes really thin and the pus and everything comes out when you're on something for too long, and he actually got attached to the bed. And she says, look, every single day we see that. And I remember how the grandkids were killed and what our life was like, and seeing this person tortured and that person killed. And she says, look, we feel sorry for you because even though this is happening to us, it makes our test in this world very apparent because it's death, it's famine, it's disease, it's bombs, it's bullets. She says, we feel sorry for you guys because you guys have got wealth, you've got health, you've got opportunities, you've got these education and medication and your skill sets and all of these things. And your test is a test that you don't even know that you're being tested over there because you're too busy feeling sorry for us. What you're doing here is more for you, and you should feel sorry for yourself. And then another guy, he said, his words were, Allah's put me in this situation because he wants to see what you're going to do about it. And then a third guy literally grabbed me by the neck and he says, I will grab you on the day of judgment. Yeah. I will grab you on the day of judgment if you don't go out there and tell the world my story, because I'm convinced the world doesn't know my story. Because if the world did know my story, they'd be doing something about it. He was convinced that his situation, just people didn't know. And he was saying, make sure you tell them, make sure I'm going to grab you on the day of judgment. I'm going to grab you on the day of judgment if you don't do it. So now me being able to see everything that we've just spoken about, and I had to give you some of those graphic examples. But the point is, at the end of it, and I told you at the start about my personal intentions and reasons and my journey, I see all of this as my test. And yeah, you know what? People are going, they've got their tests as well. But I remember and I remind myself that firstly, everything that I'm doing or that I'm seeing or when I'm in a situation with someone is my test. So I even do little things like, they say, is it a hadith where the top hand is better than the bottom hand?
Yeah.
So when you're giving somebody something, your hand's at the top. So I train my team to, even when they're giving something to somebody, to put their hand at the bottom. If the top hand's better, because it's a reminder for us. Think about it. We're giving thousands of food packs a day. With each one, you're reminding yourself that you're the actual beneficiary here. And there's that little quote what I say sometimes, that you might temporarily be fixing somebody's dunya, but by doing that, they might permanently fix your akhirah. Someone like me, I know the sins that I've done in my life and the life that I've lived. Yeah, I can do all the good deeds I want. It's never making up for that. It's just not possible. So my thing is this: I'm literally banking on and this is why I call it Mission 1 Million. I need 1 million people out there to be making dua for me. That's my thing. When it's my time to be judged, what I'm gonna have on my scales, it ain't enough. I know that. Just be honest.
Oh,
But if there's 1 million oppressed people out there that on that day step up and they're like, you know what, I'm a witness. This is what I'm trying to create. This is my own little personal mission. I understand now that this is for me. I'm not the sustainer. Allah wants to feed people. He can feed people. Their affairs are in His hands.
yeah.
I've got to do my best. I've got to do what I feel like now I'm destined to do, because I've done a lot in my life. And each one of those things built me up in a different way in order for me to be able to do what I do today. This is why I want to do this until the day I die. And I've had offers to do other things, but I really, really honestly feel like this is my destiny. It has to be, because it's the only thing I'm good at, Mufti, man. Just
Oh
I got
man,
nothing to show.
you are, you're amazing at it, man. It's not even, you're not even good, man. You're epic at it. You honestly, I mean, I feel that it's not about the things like the from the religious side, the dua or the past. I feel that obviously Allah sees anyway, and that no matter how high that was stacked up, I don't think that really is kind of weighed against you, considering the stuff that you've actually been through and done here. I feel that all of that doesn't even an ounce of this, but it's not even for me as a person that sees what you're doing. It's not even about that. That's your personal thing. For me, I see that you are standing tall to a mission that I was just being honest that most of us, and I put myself in that despite knowing how necessary it is, I would just be honest that I feel that I would just break in the face of it. I don't think I could. I think if I saw these things, I think it would just break me. And the fact that you can do it and can carry on, definitely, man. You've been cut out for this, man. This is the
You know,
greatness that you've.
I think you say that now, but I think if you actually did it, then you also know that you're able to do something about it as
Yeah.
well.
No,
And
there
when
is that.
you're
There
able
is
to do
that.
something about it, it does help you to
Yeah.
to get on with it, man.
No, I do feel that absolutely. It's the goodness, and that even if it's even if it's so little, it's not changing the grand scheme of things, but it's still that qualitative joy, isn't it? Like you're
Yeah,
seeing that child's eyes light up when you're giving something. You're seeing that, and that is ultimately the meaning of life, man. I mean, that is So it's I totally I
it
do.
gives us the opportunity as well, man. Like some of my friends that like they've come out of prison, and the charities really helped them, man. It's really, really helped them stay on track and not go back to the life that they were living before. And then even like everybody around me, to see what I do, and like some people, like you're saying, they can't go there and do anything about it,
Mm.
but everybody, like that woman said to me, is blessed with a different skill set. So we've got kids that know how to make cakes, and they'll make cakes and go on the street and sell them. And we've got makeup artists that will do makeup master classes, and we've got restaurants that will donate free meals and whatnot. It's like all of this is an opportunity for all of us as well. You know what I mean? Like everything that's happening over there on this side is an opportunity for us to do all of these good deeds as well, but
Yeah.
also find a purpose in life
No,
as well.
exactly.
And sometimes if you're somebody like me, it's like I've been through so much in my life, and like even with like PTSD and
Yeah,
mental
because this
health.
is what this is
all
because
of
this is
this
what
stuff.
I'm thinking. Even this, not that this should deter you, but I'm just saying even this would the PTSD from even this it's undeniable. And then the thing is this, you see, because like when you see, let's say you see this, you come back to an environment now. Let's say here you are in Birmingham, or you're in you're in al-Maliki or wherever you are here, you're walking around the city center, nobody around you really is can kind of like relate to that experience, generally speaking. So you are in a
Yeah.
world of your own. You're just like, you've you're like kind of spiraling, and other
It's
people
making
are
me
just
annoying
other people are
because
just worried.
annoying.
Why have I only had, like 102 likes on my photo? Like, why haven't I had like 500 likes? And
Yeah.
they're depressed.
It's really changed me like that. Like I'm like before we went live, I told you what I was doing, and I was like, no, I'm a simple person, man. This is what I eat. This is what I do. This is how we are. And yeah, man. Alhamdulillah. It's it's been
I think
this is
it's
just the start. It's the start of the
yeah,
journey, man. I
absolutely,
haven't
man.
even been doing
Alhamdulillah.
it that long.
And you're not even that old. you know,
No,
you, how old are
no.
you? Do you disclose your age?
I'm 33 now.
33. Ah, the age of Jesus, huh?
I was
Allah.
born on Christmas Day.
We look at that when Jesus came to Jerusalem, people, and the mission. It's concluded at 33, isn't it?
Because I look like this as well, yeah. When I've got my hair down, beard flowing, and my white thobe. I've been to certain countries, Mufti, yeah, like we're talking like some
Yeah, don't
Western
they, don't.
African remote areas where people have come out and started going, Jesus, Jesus. Entire families in where was it? Kenya. I was in a zoo, and there was, forget the attractions, there was a line of people waiting to take photos with me. So people were coming, giving me their children, and I would pose with their baby, and they'd take a picture, and they'd go, and they'd just be like, Jesus. But you know what's really interesting? Actually, really embarrassing moment for me, but it's so beautiful as well, it's so powerful. I went to northern Ghana, just north of Tamale, really, really remote area. I went to this village because they needed a masjid built, and I went there, and the entire village came out and started crying. Can
Okay.
you imagine an entire village of people
I'd be
crying?
like, यार ये क्या हो रहा है? What's going on?
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, yo, what they're thinking are the white man's come back or what? Like, they, when I spoke to them, the old man that was holding my hands and he was trying to kiss my hands, he was saying to me that the story, like Islam's pretty new over there. Where
Okay.
he says the stories that we've heard. You got to remember, I didn't look like this at the time. I had the long hair, the beard, the white thobe.
Okay.
It's like the stories that we've heard of prophets and Sahaba and descriptions that we've got. And you're this Middle Eastern looking guy with the hair and the beard and the thobe and everything.
They thought
That was
this
no,
is
they
an
were.
embodiment. No, but they thought this is a reflection.
But it was the first time that they had seen
They
what they've
thought,
heard
which of
about.
the prophets of the Quran has come here to visit our.
I was the whitest person they've ever met in their life, and the kids were running up
And
to me.
Wazio is
They're
quite
trying to
very
hug
fair
us.
skinned in real life. Yeah, so just in case you can't see it on the camera here, it's very.
Yeah. So like that was mad for me, man. People they were saying to me, "I wish my granddad got to meet you." Like these are old men, and they're saying things, and the people just looking at me and crying, man. I thought, you know what, this is the love that they've got for for.
And then you find out it's just because you accidentally had cut off the internet supply or something as you walked in. No, you're like, don't worry, I know I'm here. They're like, can you just get off that wire? Oh man, that's incredible, man. You know what? Let's people, if you want to post some questions, feel free to do so. We'll post them to Waz. I'll read them out. It says somebody says Zahid. Do you know Zahid? He's saying top guy was inspired me into charity work. Mashallah, strange guy though, as he puts ketchup on his javel and stuff like that. Do you put ketchup on your javel? I have.
Ketchup, everything, Mufti, I put ketchup on everything. You know what it is? I don't
I
eat spicy food, believe it or not. I don't eat
seriously.
spicy food. Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
that's
So
a
when I have something to tone it down a bit, like if my mom's made a curry with some rice, or I have to add ketchup. I can't do it.
wow. I've never heard of anybody mixing ketchup with curry, but that's
Dal, curry, rice, everything, ketchup on
wow,
everything.
wow, you're doing it. I remember years. I can't even remember what it was, but as a kid, I watched some TV, some kind of TV series. I think it was Australian, where one of the guys used to put ketchup with his ice cream, and I remember thinking, "What? Who the hell does that?"
It's
That's
just weird.
right. So, did Waz come across any Yazidi women who were enslaved by ISIS?
I had a lot of experience with the Yazidi community, but you know, at the time, in all, I didn't know what they were about. All I
Yeah.
knew is that these guys are Yazidi, and they were actually very impressed by ISIS. And one of my colleagues, Jen, she used to do quite a lot with them. She used to do a lot with them, but I'm not really sure on what their beliefs are. Somebody was telling me a little bit later, it was something very different, but yeah, I've had experience with them. And you know what? They are persecuted a lot.
Yeah, I mean, um, my understanding is I thought they were kind of a break. Let's see, it's a
Something to
this.
do with the devil.
No, I mean that wouldn't be. But I think they've got their whole religion is quite different, isn't it? It's seen as because I think the god of the Yazidi is called Malik Taus, and he's considered God's alter ego, inseparable from him. And but Yazidism does consider itself monotheistic. But I think it maybe have some links to the old. I was assuming maybe Zoroastrian kind of thing, but yeah. So okay, so you did see that when you were there.
Yeah, ISIS, man. They don't leave anybody alone, man. They don't leave anybody alone. We went to see, there's a masjid in Iraq, Mosul, where they say that the Prophet Yunus alayhi salam is buried.
Okay.
And we were going past there, and our friend Kelwick, he's he's jumped out the car. You got remember this city is occupied by ISIS.
Okay.
There's nobody around. It's a ghost town.
I mean,
There's
there's no people there. Where are the people?
no people. It's been evacuated.
Oh,
There's
right.
war
Okay.
going on. So the civilians have left. They've gone to refugee camps. So it's this empty city that's like a playground for this war. Houses are rubble. The bridges have fallen. Schools all gone. Universities gone. Hospitals gone. Craters in the road. No water for the entire city. So UNICEF, we were doing a job for them, and we were taking in like these 53 tankers of water every day, going in
Every
like
day. Wow.
1.5 million liters of water or something like that. And we're going in, filling in these tanks on the roads, and then people would come to the tanks that were still, some people are still living there that were scattered about, had nowhere else to go. They'd come to the tanks and take the water. So we're doing that. We're in Ghost Town. And Kelwick hears about, I hope he doesn't mind me telling this story. He hears about Prophet Yunus alayhi salam's buried there. He jumps out, gets his phone out, and he's exactly like this. And he goes, Assalamu alaikum, Nabi Yunus. Soon as he says that, these guys appear out of nowhere. Now, what we were told in a bit of our training is there's these guys like they're like I don't know what the right word for them is. Is it mercenaries or bounty hunters or what? They're not the army, they're not the police.
Mhm.
They're groups of individuals that are armed.
Okay.
It's lawless, so they're going around taking what they want. They're going into houses, taking what they want,
Just like a
looting,
vigilante kind of law going on. Yeah.
yeah. But they're not doing good stuff. Like they're doing bad stuff as well, but they're also very anti-ISIS. Like they're fighting ISIS. They happen to be Shia, by the way.
Okay.
So me looking like this looks like
Damn.
I play for
You
the
look like you just need a kunya Abu something. And they'll be like, Baghdadi's here. Baghdadi's here himself.
that's the whole that's a whole different story, man. You know the abuse that I get in some of these countries from Muslims.
Yeah, because
They're
you look like
proper
one of those
so,
hardcore.
so
That it's the
bad.
Mujahid look in it. That whole the
I got
Mujahideen.
I got to Iraq first, and the guy goes to me, uh, "Take your beard back where it came from. We don't want it in this country." I thought, flipping heck, this is Iraq. Where have I just landed, man? And then the second guy that I met,
You
he
go,
literally
stick
to
it back
me,
in my skin. Take it back.
the second guy I met, he literally says to me, "So, you ready to die? Yeah." I thought, what the hell? Where have I come? He goes, "Listen, if you want to save lives, yeah, you're gonna have to risk your own." And these guys are writing letters to their families in case they don't come back. It was really dangerous where we were. So they did all of that. Um, so these guys jump out on us where we're at the masjid, Nabi Yunus one. He's buried somewhere there. And they're dragging all of us out the car one by one, big guns, masks on, wearing all black. And where I'm sitting at the back all the way on the left, and they're dragging people out the right. So I know I'm getting dragged out last. And I know when they see me,
Yeah.
like Kelwick's a white boy, you know what I'm saying? A few of the other people that we were with, they're locals, they're Iraqi. I thought when they see me, they're gonna talk to me. They're gonna put a bullet in me. They're gonna think I'm from that. So why wouldn't they? I'm in Iraq and I look like this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I got no chance. I can see the rest of my colleagues. They're looking at me like sort of like, yeah, like we're screwed, but you're really screwed. You know,
I mean, we're having a crap day, but boy,
boy, like,
putter.
Labba Swad, you know.
They're gonna be like, do more humanitarian work. Labba un swad.
Humanitarian Bansi. So as they drag me out, and I'm the last one out, and my life's flashing before my eyes, I'm thinking the worst.
No.
In my training, I've been told these guys kidnap you, ransom, torture, they're gonna beat you. If they don't get the money, they're gonna kill you. Some guy comes on a moped. Wallahi, some guy flies past on a moped and he's going drone, drone, drone. Everybody stops and you can hear. And I'm looking up and I can't see nothing, but I can hear it. People probably, nowadays you get these camera drones here. So if you ever had one of those above you, you know what I'm talking about. ISIS are 1 kilometer away. The only thing separating us is a river. There's a river that goes through the middle of Mosul. We're on one side of the river. They're on the other side. They flew this drone over and it's got a grenade attached to it. And now we're standing still and we're just waiting for it to drop. It drops and this shop blows up here down the road. It hits the shop blows up. We've hit the ground. I'm on the floor, the ground shaking, my heart shaking, everybody's shaking. Somebody starts shooting at us. So the ISIS guys are shooting at us. Crawl over, and I've got my back against the wall. Now on either side of this wall, it's a house. So on either side there's an alleyway. So through the alleyway there's a gap. They're shooting at us. So I'm there, I can hear the bullets going past my ears. And these guys get out their guns and they start firing back. Now they're firing this way. ISIS are firing that way. We're flipping stuck in the middle. Somebody go, run to the car, get to the car. Somebody else goes, don't go to the car. If you go to the car becomes the target. So now I'm stuck there thinking, what shall I do? But in this situation, man, these guys want to kidnap us. These guys want to kill us. We're just hiding behind these walls, trying to get cover. Don't know when the next drone's going to come. I swear, one of the scariest. And there, no adrenaline, nothing. Oh, it was scary, man.
You're like, for God's sake, at least give me some goddamn adrenaline at this stage.
And no adrenaline, nothing. You're just like, oh my God, this is it. This is how I go out. And somebody's made a run to the car. And when he's made a run to the car, everybody's just ran to the car. Didn't even bother opening the doors, gone through the windows, like that.
Yeah.
Driver starts driving. And he's like, it's like a movie, like left, right, dodging craters in the ground, buildings, rubble, bridges collapsing. And the Iraqi army come, they got hold of us and they took us to a base. I remember lying down on the floor.
What, you were in the car going when the army intercepts you?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So they came in their cars, intercepted us, took us to the base, got out. I'm just on the floor. I remember them giving me water. Came back. The story was all over the BBC and stuff like that. I'm still in Iraq. And they woke up the next day and did it all again, man.
Wazio, you gotta be the only person that would be. People would be like, okay, that's one close encounter with death. I'm not doing
What?
another dance.
Ah, situations like that is only afterwards. For the first week or two, I was all right. After 2 weeks, it really hit me. What the heck was I doing, man? Like, I got scared afterwards. I got
Yeah.
scared for myself.
I suppose as the realization kind of sinks, and it takes a while to let things sink.
Yeah. And it's not even one of those hero ones. This is why I hardly tell the story. It genuinely scared me, man.
I mean,
It
didn't the Iraqi army think with about your beard and you being ISIS or something?
Yeah. They were the ones that were giving me the abuse that I was telling you about.
Yeah. No, but I mean, when they rescued you.
Yeah, well, what happened is originally when I first got there, they weren't going to let me into the country. There was some guy who's got the same name as me. Apparently, he's Kurdish or something, and he's a terrorist. So, and his middle name is my dad's name. It's like that much of a coincidence. So they wouldn't. There was a whole thing at the airport first, and at the
Just
checkpoints.
don't say he was also used to work at a nightclub, because then when it's gonna be difficult to buy this one. It's gonna be a tough sell.
He used to rap. Uh, Someone from the UK reached out to me, and her uncle is somebody that's very high up in the army there.
Okay.
So I got hold of him, went to see him. He printed us some of these letters of permission and stuff. From that day forward, anytime these guys gave me grief at a checkpoint and stuff like that, I'd show them the letter and they'd quickly back off because this guy was like the Abane over there. It got
Like,
to the stage, man, where these soldiers they got so used to me, and I'm a very talkative person. Like I'd go and talk to anybody. I tried to keep away from the soldiers though, because it's not a great look. Humanitarian soldiers. It's they're doing their job, we're doing our job. We're very separate, and I try not to mix with them too much. But these guys, it's funny, man. Like they'd pull up in their tanks and be like, "Waseem, come," and I'd just go sit in a tank with them and drive around a bit. But I never used to like it because I used to think deep down inside these guys are probably about to go and kill people and whatnot. But I had to work with them. You know, it's their country. They're letting you in to do the job that they're doing. But that's the politics in it. As a humanitarian, we stay clear of all of that. I stay clear of it. Anyway, we're just
yes.
save lives, feed people, and make the world a better place.
Somebody has asked here that are there any specific charities that you recommend? I mean, your own what you're involved in. So, what should
I'd,
people?
it's like it's different charities specialize in different things. That's
Okay.
that's the best way to put it. So it's not that there's one charity that does everything great and there's not one charity that does everything bad. Each one of them sort of specializes somewhere, wherever they're putting their effort
I mean,
or wherever.
you're involved with, so just in case people don't know, Human Relief Foundation, isn't
And Human Relief Foundation is set up in 1991 as a result of the Gulf War, and all the work was being done in Iraq. This is why I'm so active in Iraq, because the HRF started out there
it? Okay,
in
they
Iraq.
had a base and a foundation
When
there.
it comes to Iraq, we're the number one. So
Okay.
anything that people would want to do in Iraq, I'd recommend they go Human Relief Foundation. Syrian refugees in Jordan, again, Human Relief Foundation, and then the water projects in Africa, Human Relief Foundation. Those three are sort of our strong points. And then other charities, they're great with education. Other charities do more Islamic things like mosques and stuff. And then some charities do mosques, churches, and everything. And they specialize in different things. So there's
Mm.
no one charity that I can recommend to anybody. Like even now with Yemen, there's certain charities out there that are really, really great with Yemen. Sabah Relief being one of them.
Right. Okay. On that note, have you been to Yemen with the crisis there?
I haven't gone. It's the only place that we work that I haven't gone, and that's purely because we were trying to cover so much things in one go that it's allocated. So Kelwick again, Yemen was like his thing.
Yeah.
And I'd do like Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, and the rest of them.
That's
And
Adam Kelwick, for those of you that know. Sheikh Adam Kelwick. He's on social media as well. There is a lot of chatter that's kind of like surfaces on social media that the situation in Yemen isn't actually bad. or as bad as people are making it out. It's just this is propaganda. I mean, is the situation? I mean, this is why I was asking if you'd actually been there, or if you know people that have been there. What
Yeah,
is it? Is it because I was just reading yesterday? Some people on Instagram and on other things, there were certain posts saying, "Look, this is just propaganda to make the Yemeni thing and to take advantage of this." That there is something going on, but it's nothing near the tragedy that people are making out.
I've heard both from people from there, and
Okay.
it purely depends on who you're asking. If you're
Mm,
asking a humanitarian, somebody who wants you to send aid, they're going to say to you it's the worst thing that you've ever seen.
yeah.
But when I talk to more people that aren't involved in the humanitarian work, businessmen or locals that I happen to know or whatnot, they have
Mm,
the other opinion that it's not as bad as it's being made out to be. And I take everything now with a pinch of salt. Like, after again going back to ISIS, ISIS are nothing, man. Like, I'll give you this example to use there.
yeah.
ISIS, nothing. They're
Nothing.
nothing, but the way that they're portrayed in the media is they're made so much bigger, badder, scarier than they actually are. And I guess that's because people have a certain agenda. You make them seem like a huge, massive threat there. It scares people over here. If people over here are scared, they're going to listen to what you want to do. And then you can go, you can bomb whoever, you can take over this bank, and you can do. It's scaring people, man. But
Mm.
I don't really know what how that would apply in Yemen. But I'm just using the example of Iraq and Syria, where ISIS are made out to the West to be a lot more scarier than they are.
So, but wait, but in those countries, then Iraq and Syria, it was literally a kind of hellhole, a destruction. You know, like you were saying, bombs and murder and all this kind of stuff, like a genocide. So, is that just because of a vacuum of power that everybody's just doing it to each other? Then, if it's not,
It's a
because the
setup. It's a setup. All of this thing was a setup. Most Sunni stronghold in Iraq. The
say that,
data I
yeah,
is a Sunni stronghold. So
yeah,
if
yeah.
there was going to be resistance against the Shia government or whatever, it was probably going to stem from Mosul. One day, 400 ISIS troops turn up and take the entire city. We're talking about tens of thousands of soldiers, policemen, security, in the tens of thousands. 400 men or less turn up, take the entire city, the entire region, all their weapons, and everything that they left behind. These people were told to leave it behind. Mosul was given to ISIS. From my knowledge, from speaking to people on the ground, it seems to be that they gave them Mosul, then allowed them to attract people from the rest of the region and the rest of the world, bring them all to one place, and then smash them. So it's like what you call what do they call it? Like a
Entrapment,
honey
entrapment,
trap.
like a honey
Yeah,
trap.
trap.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So give it to them. So they bring everybody else there. It becomes their hub, which it became. Where the only video I think where Abu Bakr Baghdadi done his
Yeah.
little speech and that was in Mosul. So
Okay.
that was one of the mosques that I went to. They still, funnily enough, when I went there, I found the register where they had written down the name of each person that had given bayah to him.
No
So it
way.
was a register of the ISIS guys. Um,
And you're just like, hey, this is an autograph book. Let's sign it. You're like, they just want feedback. Let's sign this, people.
TripAdvisor. Uh, no, but seriously, it was just given to them, and the
Mm.
locals find it very, very strange. But the locals sort of
Like it's
see
just crazy politics that was just going
crazy
on.
politics.
Crazy politics. Mm.
This we could go into it so much, but it's
Mm.
such a facade. It's such a flipping facade on the rest of the world. and then not only give them this power, but then make it seem like that power's like 100 times worse. Like something will happen in Finland, and they'll say these guys did it. Them guys, they're not. I don't see them as being that flipping. Like they're bad
Capable.
people.
Yeah.
They're evil, but they're not that clever, man. They're not that. Giving them
Capable.
too much credit, they're not that capable.
Yeah.
But if you make them seem very capable, then they're always a threat. If they're always a threat, the population is always
I
scared.
think
If the
part of what
population is scared, it's
I
easy to
think
control.
part of what added to that was, you know, the kind of HD latest technological video productions they were doing, and when they were kind of
And it,
like, so this was giving it, without saying it, it gives the immediate impression that these people have reach and capacity and intelligence and technology and infrastructure. Because how are they, you know, like, do you remember the one where they set up this kind of this thing that goes off as a dynamite trail and it kills all the people? It was around their necks, and different methods like coming out with, okay, we're gonna have one that's a drowning cage and one that's, you know, like something out of a Saw movie. That the way that, and underwater cameras we're gonna have. It's like,
and it bad
bloody hell.
productions.
It's like, where the hell are they getting? You know, it's some crazy. And I think that's what allowed people to believe that they are so larger than life. Because if they've got this, then yeah, then. Whereas if they're just some mullah sitting in a
Never know.
cave.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Yeah,
not a threat. But you know what? We'll never know.
yeah,
We'll
true.
never know
But
who they are, where they came from,
where they
and
went.
why they went and where they went. We'll never know. Nobody knows. Even they don't know. That's the thing. It's like they've got this pyramid scheme, and it's like the Illuminati. When you're on that level, you don't really know what happens on that level. So on the ground, like even those guys that are like just the average troop, he doesn't know anything about the agenda or anything. He's just trying to make a bit of money.
Yeah. Somebody said, Mr. Akalis said, "Good day. I'm not a Muslim. However, I live in a Western country, and the Muslims over here who are guests are always aggressively demanding that Sharia law should rule it in an intimidating manner. Why this mentality for?" I mean, Mr. Akalis, I would agree with you that I think that's just ridiculous and absurd behavior. And I think people just sometimes don't know what they're actually asking for. You know, you give people slogans and they just say they don't know what, you know, people say, we want Sharia law, we want Sharia law. And it's interesting sometimes to just ask them, okay, so what is Sharia law? And you know, they've only memorized like 4 or 5 things. Like they'll say, chop the hand of the person because they've memorized that. And they'll say like, stone this person. And then you say, well, okay, okay, put the criminal 4 or 5 things you know aside, the criminal justice code. Okay, what else is Sharia? And they won't know. Like honestly, I'd ask people that what is Sharia. Then okay, fair enough. You've got the hudud, the capital punishments and things. Put them aside. What else is Sharia? Isn't it like? Is there more to it? Isn't it? What about buying, selling? What about transactions, commerce? What about economics? What about, you know? Isn't this a huge part? What? Tell me something about Sharia. Nobody really knows these things. It's just a slogan. It sounds good to kind of rally a crowd. So yeah, I wouldn't.
Is the angriest guy as well that makes the best TV. This is what
Yeah,
people need to understand. So
that
as
screaming
as
face. You know,
as
you
a
got that
person that,
meme with the guy going.
yeah, and he's in everyone. He's always there. Like, but
He's like,
yeah,
oh.
it's the best TV. So often you'll see the story that's chosen for the news or for the newspaper or even for the internet. Like what makes the best post, what gets the most likes, it's controversy. So you always pick the angriest guy, and people think that everybody's angry then, but really we're cool, like me and Mufti.
There you go, man. This is it. This is it. It's happening right here. Right. So increase somebody lol payday. I'm living in America. Okay. Right. Let's see the questions, people. Somebody. Yep. Claire Jones had posted about. Yep. Adam Kelwick. That's who. Yep. When we said that Sheikh Adam Kelwick. That's who he was. I did exactly the same from the locals. Iraqi army are scared of the beard. Yep, we covered that. Guys, feel free to post any of your comments and questions, and I'll, because because Wazio can't see them. I've got to read them out to him. So somebody said, okay, they love the show. What are there any movies that inspire you, Wazio? Look at that. There's a guy with a decent question, and his name is Human Being. Just in case we thought for a moment, I mean, was that? I mean, was it a? Could it be a Neanderthal that got on there and made himself a YouTube account? Could it be a different species? Could it be an octopus? Could it be? No, it's a human being. Well, blimey. But that's an awesome question. What movies inspire you, Wazio? What's going down with
I'm,
the movies?
I'm not a movie person, man. I'm one of
Seriously,
those people. I go to the cinema, I can't help but fall asleep.
no way. Damn. All right. That's.
Like
What about
I
TV
watch
series?
comedies.
TV
Really,
series?
don't get the time, Mufti, man.
Comedy. I just started watching just last night. I haven't finished it. This Tag. Is it called Tag? It's about these group of friends who they carry on this tradition where every year, the month of May, they have to tag each other and they take it so seriously. It's actually quite funny. It's on Prime
Check
actually.
it out. Check it out. I'm not really too much of a TV and movie person.
Okay. Well, so guys,
But I've
movie.
watched every film they used to watch on an aeroplane, because I've traveled so much. All the airplane films I've watched.
Somebody said that's because your life is a movie. Look at that, you're doing it, man.
But
Wah wah wah. It is. It's more than a movie.
it
Right.
is
So, any plans for deployments? Are there any future plans coming up, or what's the score with that?
always. So that's my main thing. I take groups of people. I go myself, and whenever I can, I take people with me all around the world. Um, but at the moment, you guys know as much as I know. We don't know when we're going to be allowed to move. It's two things though you need to think about on our side. It's not just when is it safe for us to travel, but when is it safe for us to see those people. Like, it wouldn't be the greatest idea for me, even though I feel I'm fine. It wouldn't be the greatest idea for me to walk into a camp with 1 million people in there for their safety.
Yeah.
So until it's totally safe for us
I mean,
and
that would be tragic
safe
if
for
they
them,
if they if they survived all of that and then your germs killed them.
eh,
That would be.
that's true.
They survive some of the greatest tragedies known to mankind, and then Wazio turns up and just coughs. And the next day,
You know, I've heard that's how it got to Gaza. It was actually
yeah,
through an aid worker.
yeah, I heard that as well. Damn.
Mm.
Somebody saying, is where did that question go? Right. Do you feel that right? Oh, somebody. This was an interesting one. How much of our donations actually go to the charity percentage wise? Do you know any of
It's
that?
different. Yeah. So see all of this, yeah. It's totally down to how people word it. So the 100% donation policy kind of doesn't exist,
Hmm.
and people don't know this. People, they they think that when they hear 100% donation policy, they think that's better.
Yeah,
Where
because
actually not.
it
It's
gives that impression.
the other way around. Yeah. So what 100% donation policy means is, and charities, that 100% donation policy. People don't know this. Somebody's got to pay those costs. So what they do is they collect money and they pass that money on after they've taken from the gift aid or whatever, without affecting the 100%. There's a bit extra they can take. They pass that on to another charity to then implement it. Like, they'll collect for Yemen, for
Okay.
example, then they'll give that money to a charity in Yemen who then has costs distributing it. So this charity hasn't taken those costs, and they've said to you it's 100%. But what that means is it's 100% for you. We're going to make somebody else pay for it. Do you get it? And
Mm.
that's a bit selfish. If you actually realize what you're doing when you're donating to a charity that has a 100% donation policy, is you're saying don't take any admin from me. Admin's used on really good things. Admin is what generates more money. And if you look at the research, Wall Street and stuff like this, the most effective charities are the ones with the higher admin cost. It doesn't make sense. To do effective work, you need to have an admin cost. And the shame is that that admin cost is not explained to people properly. People take it as a negative. People think that it's something taken away from their donation, where it's not. It's you're still buying the food and everything that you've paid for, but you're taking this few pence to give to this charity to train people, to do proper needs assessments, to do proper safeguarding, to work in the most efficient way, to actually find ways to save money. You spend a bit of money first. It's actually way better to donate to a charity that has a bit of an admin cost, because they're using that little money to generate millions of pounds. But there's no way that you can get the public to flip in understand this. Nobody does. Everybody's just like 100% donation policy, 100% donation, and they'd have no idea what they're doing. They don't like they're kind of being lied to. They're not being
Yeah.
lied to.
But
They're
it's
thinking they're doing one thing.
yeah.
Something else is happening.
It's just like I feel that these things are often a selling strategy, ain't they? Like I mean, I would understand if there's like, let's say there's an immense, but it comes back to trust, isn't trust issues, and everybody's got trust issues. It comes back to like if a person thinks, look, I'm giving £100, and if from this £100, £50 is just going to kind of line the pockets of some person, so he can just chill on it here, or he can build his own lifestyle, and maybe £50 he'll give forward, then I don't want to just pay for this guy to have a lavish car, or I want to help the poor. So in that sense, I can understand that concern. And because sometimes some charities, there's scandals and things like this, but when it comes to genuinely, several charities will say, well, actually, this much percentage, let's say 15% or whatever it is, goes towards admin costs, and it goes to somebody has to pay those. At the end of the day, that is an inevitable
Look at the
cost.
story that I told of what we had to do to take water into Mosul. Just water. Now, risking your lives, bombs, bullets, the abuse that you go, just everything involved. You've got to risk. Somebody's got to go and do that. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is this admin cost isn't just that. People think that it's just a wage. No. Where does the training come from? Safeguarding, working in an efficient way, making sure that your
And
distributions are
isn't there?
safe.
There's other things as well. Yeah, like the district. Because I've heard in the past, like people tell me that when they're in certain places, they have to pay to get certain things done. Like,
Of
let's say
course.
they're in that country, so. And no, I don't just mean like pay a wage. I mean even like people will say, well, if you want to distribute this, this is going to cost you this much. This is going to, like, even though these things, they shouldn't really be like that. They should be welcoming, but it's unfortunately the cruel nature of the world, isn't it?
It happens. I've been in places where the local governor has come and says, if you want to distribute here, you give everything to me and I distribute it because I need these people to vote for me. And if you don't give it to me, you can't do it. So you have to sort of take a back seat. You just make sure that the aid's getting out, but you've got to give this guy, you've got to let him take credit for it because there's no other way. He just won't allow you to do it. Like the levels of corruption are mad. And there's a lot wrong in the charity scene, but
Yeah.
we're not blaming the public enough. We're not blaming the people that donate. They're always picking at the charities. It's you guys that are to blame as well. You guys have created this mess. You guys that haven't researched what you're doing, you guys that don't understand what you're doing, you guys that hear 100% donation policy and think that that's something that's better. You guys, and it's probably not all your fault because nobody's explained these things to you, but there's such a lack of education in the charity scene that if people understood it, they'd realize what the actual problems are. We're so caught up on these little things that there's bigger problems that we as a community can all deal with together. That's how these charities are going to perform the best, is by us all coming together, not just always criticizing this, and this, because often we're just criticizing the wrong things.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of work to be done.
of
And my
course.
personal goal is when I came into it, my uncles, my cousins, everybody was like, why you want to go do this with the charity? Charities are like this, charities are like that. And then one of my uncles, he says, okay, you know what? If they are like that, then you have to go because the only way you're going to change it is from the inside. So go work your way up. And if the charity scene's not great now, you being in there for 10 years, get that experience. And that's the only way you're going to be able to change it. You can't just change it like this. Go in there, change it slowly, slowly, slowly. In the time that I've been here now, already we've made so many changes. And inshallah, like I said, we're still young. Me and the team, we're all about the same age. We've got the rest of our lives that we're going to do this. I guarantee in a few years from now, the charity scene is going to have huge changes. A lot of them are going to get shut down purely because they're not because they're doing fraud or something. I mean, because the way that they're working just isn't going to be relevant anymore. It's going to be less people and it's going to be more educated people, people that know what they're doing, and they will turn everything around. And it definitely will become better. The
Mm.
way that way.
So
There's young people.
there is hope,
Yeah,
people. There is hope. Somebody says,
definitely.
"Wow, Ali Dawa is a millionaire." A few people are asking about Ali Dawa. Uh,
Ali Dawah he owes me money, fam.
does
Put it that
he?
way. Hey,
No
no
way.
millionaire. He's no, he's a taxi driver, man.
Yeah, I know. Is
I
it?
know
That's what
Ali Dawah personally, yeah.
yeah,
And you know, I don't know how much I can say.
yeah.
Put it this way, he he owes more money than he's got, and that's not because he's like done anything wrong. He helps out so many people, and I don't want to get into it. I don't want to sing his praises or expose anything or whatever. It's nothing bad. It's actually a very, very good thing.
Mm,
But believe me, Ali Dawa ain't got a pound for chips.
mm. It's absolutely legit like that. And you know Ali Dawa very well. I mean, somebody here earlier on had said that, oh, Wazio is a good friend of Ali Dawa. So these claims of somebody had mentioned here about Ali Dawa and making, I think, 6 million from charities or something, all that's BS,
Let
guys.
me explain. You know what's happened there?
Okay. Oh, is
Ali
there a
Dawa.
story there? Is there?
I'll tell you how stupid this is. Ali Dawa shares my videos. Yeah.
Okay.
So when he's shared a video of mine and a donation link, the person has clicked on it, seen Human Relief Foundation, gone on to Google. How much does Human Relief Foundation make a year? 6 million. What they've taken from that is that Ali Dawa gets 6 million from charity. So they thought the person who put the story out thought that this whole charity is actually Ali Dawa's, and the 6 million that's generated, it's not for Human Relief Foundation. It's for Ali Dawa. That's where that figures come from.
Ah, right. Okay, so there was actually some. Wow, I just thought that was a random thing, but there's some kind of a misunderstood, warped story. Nah, guys. I mean, even though, look, no matter how much you disagree sometimes with people, I would disagree, obviously, and they would disagree with me on many opinions. But this kind of stuff is all baseless about them scamming money and things like that, as far as I'm aware. Yeah. So, thoughts on on Birmingham's gang culture? Wazio, what's going down with the gang culture, man?
You know, my opinion on this is probably gonna surprise a few people, but you know how recently everybody's saying it's got worse and
Yeah.
there's this knife crime and the thing.
Yeah, I think we've
It's
had
got
this
way better.
convo before, haven't we?
Yeah. It's got way better compared to how it used to be. Me growing up as a teenager, there were so many stabbings, so many shootings. What the difference is now is that it's on social media. You hear about it. So it's not that Birmingham's gone worse. It really, really hasn't. What has happened is kids are doing things from a younger age. So that has changed. But I think that there's less stabbings, or maybe I'm older. And when I was young, I used to be, see it all the time. But I really do think that it hasn't got worse. I think it used to be a lot worse. I was banned from the city centre when I was in my late teens. I could not go to the city center with more than one person. We could only walk in a group of two. I couldn't wear the color green and go to the city center.
Why
So these,
green? That's such a random.
it was back then. You had these gangs that are affiliated with colors.
Okay.
So there was these guys that were from Handsworth, and they'd have these like red colored bandanas.
Okay, you're not talking about
The,
like the Sher Punjab and the not that far back and the
no,
Panthers and.
Burger
Oh
Johnsons.
right, okay.
So they're sort of the next generation. They were
Yeah.
called something else and something else.
Okay.
So they had the red in Handsworth. They had the blue in sort of Aston Lozells.
Okay.
And then where I'm from, they had the green, and Small Heath had the purple, and another. They had different colors for different areas. These gangs
Okay.
did.
Okay.
So where I was from, because I was a well-known face from that area, if I was wearing green, I was inciting. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I was
You're
allowed to be.
repping
I
your area.
wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't allowed in the bull ring. When it opened and all of that, I wasn't allowed to go
I'm sure. Bloody hell. There you go. But we have had that discussion, and I can kind of see what you're saying actually. That I think sometimes it's it's more in your face and larger than life. Like it has a like you think it's so much there. Plus, news needs just bad news, isn't it? It just no news is going to sell with good news. So and with the amount of kind of media outlets that are competing to just give off news just so they get more of a kind of audience and an engaged audience, so it's constantly you're seeing it everywhere, like oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So yeah, I would
And
feel.
now there's a lot more cameras about, so people are actually doing less. Like, look, if everybody never had a mobile phone on them, and if there wasn't so much CCTV, there'd be a lot more stabbings going on. I tell you, like, I think to myself, how many times have I not done something? I'm not on about crime. I'm on about just anything. How many
I
times?
know those. You naughty.
Uh,
We know
how
those.
many times have you not done something because you feel like you might get recorded?
What
Look now,
when you've
look
turned
at the
down a
Muslims
mission?
even. Growing up, your friends, remember the silly things that we used to do? Now you can't even do certain silly things around your friends because they'll record you and you'll be on Instagram tomorrow.
Mm,
So all of these things combined, I really don't think that it's gotten any worse. Birmingham is Birmingham. We have a lot of issues, and I definitely think more can be done, man. You know what really ticks me off though is the
go
people
for it.
that they send to do it, man. They
What do they
send,
say?
like me growing up, they used to send these guys in, like, guys in suits that were like talking in a certain way and had never been to the hood in their life. This guy is meant to come and give me a motivational talk about why I shouldn't be broke. What you on about? Like it, and till this day, those guys that are on that payroll, yeah, that come and speak to these kids, and I don't know, like it's like a setup. It's like, why don't you send the right people? Why
uh,
don't you send the people that the kids
relate to.
gonna listen to? Yeah, but
Yeah.
instead they keep sending this. I don't want to get into it, but send, it's
A corporate suit
yeah,
to
yeah, man.
say.
How
All
they gonna
right.
change anything, man? It's sad. And they got a lot of
Right.
money and they use it in the wrong ways. But that's again another rant that I need to have.
All right. So, Wazio, can somebody's asking more about the ISIS stuff. I don't know if you want to go back into that. There's a question
If
saying
the question,
Wazio, can you elaborate on ISIS military armory? Are they using American or Russian military grade equipment?
they're using equipment that isn't even in Iraq. You understand? They're using weaponry that the Iraqi army doesn't have. They have constructed underground networks. I mean under the ground tunnels under the city of Mosul to move things around and to get around. To dig those tunnels, the machinery that it takes is not even in Iraq. How did it get there? The guns, the weaponry that they've got wasn't in Iraq. The Iraqi army did not have it. How did it get there? These guys are very advanced.
Is this coming back to that thing you're saying about big politics at play?
Yeah. So the locals used to tell me about, these guys that fight each other. The I'm not trying to be political. I'm just saying what I've heard.
Just say it
They
as
used
it
to,
is, man, Wazio.
they
Don't
say
worry about it.
the Americans and the ISIS used to fight each other in the day. In the evening, they'd say we'd see them go up the same mountain. These guys would have meetings, but
Yeah.
then come back, and so they don't believe anything. They've not fallen for it. In Iraq, they've not fallen for it. And you know what? They don't even have that much beef with them. Like,
Yeah.
from
What was that TV series? The one that actually portrayed some of this really well in the with the CIA operatives, the lady and
Homeland.
Homeland.
Homeland. Yeah.
That's it, man.
So that one.
Homeland season 4 was
Pakistan.
epic. Yeah, but it was epic to demonstrate the kind of the way the kind of the backhanders that go on, and how the deals that are cut behind closed doors and politics at play, and like the Haqqani network, and how they actually, when it comes to it, the CIA are fine with them, they're cutting deals. And
Like something like that happened recently with the Iranian guy that got killed by the Americans with the drone.
oh
In
yes,
retaliation,
yeah,
in retaliation, the Iranians bombed
yeah, some kind
military
of
base.
military base or something.
That was one of those behind the scenes ones. I spoke to people from there, and they told me literally what was going to happen. They were like, look, on this side, these guys now have to do something. They have to show that they've done something. So the Americans have given them this empty base to bomb. So these guys are going to be like, yeah, we did that. And then it's sort of behind the scenes. It says, okay, you lot just take that. We'll make sure it's empty. None of our guys are going to get hurt. Your public's happy. Our guys are. That's what was done there, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's, this is what politics is, isn't it? It's a crazy world, man.
Dirty.
Right, people, what's going on? The best way to make a difference in the life of a youth is by instilling real fear. Huh? Okay, I'm not sure whether that's what that's in reference to, but
that Qari Saab from the madrasa.
I think the Qari Saab's instill enough fear. But is it still US? No, is it still us fighting each other? I guess it's just a lot of politics and a lot of confusion, isn't it? And you just have a void where there's a power vacuum, and you just put a bunch of people, throw a bunch of weapons, and have a bunch of agendas. The rest will just happen on its own, I think.
That's what makes it so crazy, is when people think about a war, or you think about a fight, you think about two sides, don't you? A war is this side versus this side, but with Syria and Iraq, it's so complex. You've got 10 different sides, everybody with their own agenda, and it's all just crazy. But
yeah, I remember watching a brief clip that was on social media at one point where it was saying, well, oh, are you confused about the Syrian situation? And by the time the clip finishes, you're definitely confused. It's like, well, they're playing this, but they are an ally with them, who, by the way, hate them, but who are still an ally over here. And it's like, what the hell?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, somebody's asked, do you feel is Bashar al-Assad the best for Syria right now? Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't know nothing about that.
There you go. Somebody said, Mufti Abu Layth, how can you be a Mufti with earrings on? Acha. It's good to see the people are like, you've told all these stories of these kind of like life death experiences, and what wait there, damn, have I missed his where's he gone? Who did he say? Oh damn, I have to get his name. Oh, here it is. Ninkulus. So he says, but the thing that he takes away from it is, wait a minute, did Mufti have an earring? ISIS not dada. I've got a whole detailed video on YouTube about earrings. If you put my name in and type earrings, I've got a very detailed, elaborate video going through all the rulings. You can check that out there. Right, so what's your view on Shamima Begum? Have you got a view on Shamima Begum?
Shamima Begum, she's that kid that's stuck in Syria, yeah.
But I thought she's dead.
Nah, she's not dead. She wanted to come back last year or something.
I'm sure
They said,
Shamima Begum's dead, isn't she? Didn't she die? Isn't she the one that got kind of like bombed or something? And they said, well, she died. And because I was seeing yesterday them saying, oh, Shamima Begum has been approved to come back. And I thought, but I'm sure she died. But am I mixing them
like,
up? Or maybe they've got there's more than one with the same name, or maybe I'm just mixing it up. Right.
I don't really know.
So, right. What's going get her back? No, her child died. Ah, right. Okay.
Oh,
Damn.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So that's my bad for mixing that up then. Right. So what people? Any? I know we've kept Wazio awake for so long here. If you got any burning questions, feel free to put them through. People making a lot of comments on the same thing. What's your view, Shamima Begum? Mufti, ask him about his hair. I don't know what to ask him about his hair. What is the question? Hey, Wazi, my hair is also curly, but it don't fall down like yours. Will it eventually? Pressing questions here. The question is, do the curtains match?
You know, the funny
Is it curly all over? That's what the person wants to know.
people always ask me about my hair. I find it really weird when guys in it they inbox me on Instagram and they're like, "Bro, what's your hair routine?" Allah ni qasam, yaar. It's like so
Are you for
important.
real?
It's like
Seriously?
so important. It's like, what do you mean? Have a shower every 4 days, bro. That's it. I don't do anything to my hair. I think, you know, like the filters or whatever that
Yeah.
are on Instagram or whatever, sometimes they make it look a bit shiny or whatnot, but I literally don't do anything to my hair.
There you go, man. Guys, stop inboxing and spamming his inbox with sliding into his DMs about his hair. This is like freaking everyone out. All right. Do you feel that somebody said, is the situation in Iraq getting better?
Mm-mm. Iraq is overshadowed by Syria because they're next to each other, and you always hear people talking Syria, 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 Syria. Since 2011, there's been conflict. Iraq, when did they go Iraq? 2003? They've smashed it like what? Cradle of civilization, you know, they used to call it. And I've been there. The Iraq that I've seen is rubble, bombs, death, dogs eating bodies. It's mashed. Universities burnt down, hospitals, schools, the orphanages blown up. And it just doesn't get the same amount of mention or support or worry and stuff as Syria. So I do feel like Syria has overshadowed just how bad Iraq is. I feel Iraq's worse.
Yeah. Somebody asked a question here. That was, do you? Oh, bloody hell! It's just moved. Right. Do you encounter cynicism for locals? So this is Tosif saying, do you encounter cynicism for locals where you worked, thinking that you may be a spy for the UK government?
Never. The love that I've got from people, I've never ever had anyone question me. I've seen them question other people. But I think, you know, when you're in that situation, you know, when you're at rock bottom, you can tell who's trying to help you and who's trying to what's the word? Who's trying to sort of use your situation.
Screw you over even more. Who's trying to just
You
exploit
can
you?
tell. You
Yeah.
can tell, like, you guys at home, think about when you've been in need or when something's happened. You're able to tell how people are dealing with you. You know who's genuinely concerned, and you know who's maybe got a different agenda. So with people, I think they can just tell them, Alhamdulillah, I've got nothing but love. And because of the way that I look, I guess is memorable. So people don't forget me either.
Mm.
Um, and I'm generally very social, even if I don't speak the language. I try to speak a little bit. I do a lot of body language. I do a lot of just
Yeah.
sometimes just sitting with someone, or the way that you are with people. If you, even if you're not speaking their language, they understand what you're trying to say and they understand what you're about. So I've got nothing but love.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yep. No, shukran, man. You know what? I know we've taken up so much of your time today, Wazio. It's been amazing. I want to, before we wrap this up, people out there, hearing all of this, the good, the harm, the obviously the help that you can do, but in addition to that, the tragedies that people will encounter. What's your words for somebody who might be thinking of getting involved? Should they? Shouldn't they? Can they cope? What's your advice to people, whether they're young or old, but in getting involved? One is just getting involved as in donating, but one is getting involved on the ground. Um, you know, what are your words and direction for that?
I'd say don't feel like, don't think that this scene is all about money.
Mm,
Because I always say to teams that go out with, I say, if you're here and you want to make a difference, you have to give more than money. You have to give your heart. And that's what people
wow.
need. You know, people
It's
in
the
Syria,
human
Iraq,
connection.
that's what they need.
Mm,
That's what they need more than anything. When you give your heart to a cause, it's worth so much more than money. Because what you're going to go and do, you're going to fight for that. You're going to raise awareness. Okay, you're going to raise money as well. You're going to, but you're going to do it in a way that we're taught to do it. You're going to do it like, love for your brother, what you love for yourself. That's what's needed. That type of love, that type of sacrifice. There was one woman that I spoke to. She was telling me a story after a family got killed, and it was really deep. And I said to her, tell me one thing to always remember. And out of everything, she said, give me advice. I say that to everyone that I meet. She said, take responsibility. Something so simple.
mm,
But out of all the advice that I've ever heard from these people, and you can imagine the type of things that I've heard, her saying, take responsibility, that really, really hit home with me. And I really do feel like it is my responsibility. Well, I've made it my responsibility. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
we have all got something to contribute, not to poverty, but just to good. You know what I mean? There's good and there's evil. We've all got something to contribute. So my lane is charity. Mufti's lane is Mufti, and knowledge and ilm and these
Of
things.
course, yeah. I mean,
And
everybody is.
everyone at home has got something that they can do as well. Everybody's got a certain skill set or a certain quality. My point is, as long as you use that quality to benefit humanity, like, it's fine if Allah's blessed you. Like someone person was saying earlier, is it true Wazio lives in a big mansion and that? Even if I did, so what?
Yeah,
If Allah's blessed you with something, flipping hell, firstly, praise Allah for it.
yeah,
Thank Allah. Secondly, just share your blessing. Don't feel bad for having it. You're
yeah,
not a bad person for being blessed. It's what you do have. Are you willing to share that? And it's not always about how much you give. It's
yeah,
sometimes about how little you keep for yourself. And that's what sacrifice is. That's what this world needs. It needs a bit of responsibility. It needs a bit of sacrifice. And it needs people to give their heart.
yeah. Compassion. I mean, that's so well put, man. Wazio, you really driven that home, man. People,
Give me
if you
your heart, Mufti. Give me your
take it, yeah, just take it. Guys, if you do want to get involved, if whether it's with projects, whether it's getting involved actually on the ground with deployments, with the actual kind of humanitarian work, or it's donating, Wazio, where can they reach out to you? What's the place?
Nowadays, the best place is Instagram, because
Is that where it's happening?
Facebook's gone dead, man. What's happened to Facebook, man? It's just like the old generation on Facebook now, isn't it? But
just me on there.
It's just me and you left.
That's
Facebook.
it.
So Instagram's at Wazio TV.
At Wazio TV.
Yeah. You can just DM me, and if they want details on traveling abroad, volunteering abroad, refugee camps in Africa, in the Middle East, in Pakistan, Asia, and even Europe, all over the place.
Yeah. Well, guys, you've got it. Instagram is the place. Reach out to Wazio. Definitely, if you haven't, and you've got a project coming up, have you?
We've got loads of projects. It's just the traveling out at the moment has come to a halt, but
of course,
people haven't stopped being poor or anything, so we're still doing what we can from this side.
Of course,
there's plenty to do. There's always something to do.
People do reach out at Wazio TV. That's the place. If you haven't already liked, subscribed to his page, do so. You haven't got a YouTube channel yet, have you? You don't set up clips like that, like as a YouTube thing. Sure,
I really should. But
I think that might be an interesting thing. Sharing some clips on there, and that might be an interesting. But you've got the Wazio TV. Guys, do get involved. That's what's important. And sometimes, even if it's a little, but it's meaningful at the end of the day. And that is, the interesting thing is that even from a hadith perspective, the hadith is that which is the best action. It actually says that the most consistent, even wa in qalla, that adwamuha wa in qalla, that even if it's a little bit, but there's some consistency. And this doesn't have to always, if it's money, that's amazing. It doesn't have to always be money. Sometimes it could just be a certain action, getting involved, doing something, learning, whatever it is, sharing a smile. You understand? Something as simple as that, people. That's all it takes.
I need to get this over to you.
All right, people. That's also something that Wazio has got. Amazing honey right there. An-Nahl. Right, all right. The surah.
This one that I've for you, I don't know if you can read it or not. This is harvested every 3 to 4 years, silver fir.
Wow.
So the way that this is done, you can only get it every 3 to 4 years is harvested. So I'm going to get one of these over to you. Very rare honey.
And these are available, are they on Instagram or what is it?
Afia.co.uk.
Afia.co.uk. That's it, people. The honey. Get involved in the honey. That's where the honey is, people. Somebody said something about Urdu Shahiri. Yeah, there's the epic मैं हूँ दिल है तन्हाई है तुम भी होते अच्छा होता. That's always one that you can contemplate over. People, we're gonna wrap this up. I'll put up my page. If you haven't already subscribed to my page and you haven't clicked the notification bell on YouTube, then what I'll do is I will pay Wazio to, on his next deployment, take you guys over and abandon you over there. What the hell are you doing if you haven't? What the hell are you doing if you haven't already liked and subscribed? So stop being so. You see, this is where the art of giving begins. You have to like, that. Shall I tell you something? Wazio, that is so interesting that I've said from a psychological perspective, you can see that, humans, when you give them something as simple as, because money, people could say, oh, well, I don't want to give my money, I've earned it, I don't want to, there's this inherent kind of stinginess or tight-fistedness. But you give people something which doesn't take away, let's say on social media, this is a good experiment. Yeah. the right to just simply like something. Now they don't think about it. They're not giving any. They don't lose anything. But it's amazing that the moment people are empowered, they withdraw. They don't exercise it because they'll be like, no, why should I give mine? You know, it's like, it's an amazing because it reflects a person's personality. Me, whenever I scroll through my thing, I just like everything. So if you find any of those dodgy pages being liked by me, that's probably what it is when I'm half sober. I'm just like it's that's my alibi anyway. अच्छा 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 अच्छी सियासत है. Right, I'll leave you with it, guys. Take very good care of yourselves. We've had today the blessed company of the man, the myth, the legend, the Wazio people. Right, with that, have an awesome evening or night wherever you are. Take very good care of yourselves. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My exit page is coming up, people. Do like it. Over and out, folks.